So I just want to show you this video that to prove that you are all being played right now. Back in September 2023 on a Joe Rogan Fight Compilation podcast, Sam Tripoli said that what you're seeing now was going to happen back then. He called it 2 years ago. We are all being played.
The intelligence, and they go, this gay pride stuff is going away. And the next thing you're going to see are immigration riots. This is going to be right around the next election. So, hand to God, we do this episode. Next day, Starbucks is like, we're banning all the pride stuff. And now you start seeing these, they're putting little breadcrumbs out, man. Little breadcrumbs. Oh, I saw this one thing in Chicago. Oh, yeah, the illegal immigrants are upset about where they're staying. And these illegal immigrants who speak no English are holding up perfectly written English signs saying we're tired of how we're being treated. And now you're starting to see this over and over again. Eric, so everyone's always like when all these Republican governors are like sending these immigrants all over the country, everyone's like, yeah, you're showing those Democrats. Bro, they're moving assets. I know it sounds crazy, but that is 100 what do
you mean they're moving assets? What do you mean?
Dude, these guys coming into the country, bro, have you seen them? A lot of them are Chinese, and a lot of them are military-age people. Too. And I'm telling you, they're moving, and this is what's going to be right around 2024 election, immigration riots, people going nuts.
Okay, let me say something to the Latino Hispanic community. I made a video yesterday, and I called out what you need to watch for in your protests as these ICE raids are ramping up, and he's sending National Guard to California. He's sending tanks for his birthday thing in D.C., but those tanks in the military there also to put D.C. under siege. And I warned you about the anarchists who are going to tell you to do all the crazy things. And anarchists showed up in my comments. Most of the time, they are private accounts, no identification on the accounts, zero numbers. Sometimes they're foreign. A lot of times they're just young white men in America. Not all, because this internet is not all, but mostly. And I'm going to tell you again, those people are not your friends. They will disrupt your protests. They will bring the bricks. They will bring the other tools of destruction. They will go after the cops. Not that the cops need any reason. Not that ICE or LAPD need any reason. But they'll do those things, and you will be in these big battles all night. And you know what's going to happen? They go right back to their suburbs and leave you in the mess. They go right back to those big old houses in the valley that their Republican parents own. And they're going to be telling you what you need to be doing to the police, and their parents, on the other hand, are voting for the police to do it and ICE to do exactly what they're doing. Don't listen to them. Don't listen to them. Those agitators, those young, they're not all young, but most of them are young, and most of them are white males, and there are some white women. We saw them during the George Floyd protests in Ferguson, when Trayvon Martin was killed, Occupy Wall Street, when George Floyd was killed, the BLM movement, going back to the civil rights movement, the Black Panthers, the war on drugs. We've seen these people. They do not have your interests. They do not at all.
Shalom. First thing and foremost, we give all praises and glory and honor that's due to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem Rakakwadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone that rule well. Blessings and salutations to the hopeful elect. News in the gospel broad, lifting up the standard of Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, wherever it may be. This is another lesson through the Spirit. It says, something to consider in the midst of this chaos in Los Angeles. That was a compilation of videos here on the Joe Rogan podcast. And you got a guy by the name of Sean Ryan. You got, what's this other lady's name? You got Kim Iverson. And you got Whitney Webb, which are pretty much investigative journalists and ex-military members and so forth. And they always give the lowdown on what goes on inside the tyrannical government. And as you know, these are basically pieces of a big puzzle that work in tandem, the Democrats and the Republican. as people believe that there's a division among them, which there is surface level, but overall, outside of the surface division, internally, the moving parts that operates this beast, they're working in tandem to destroy our people, even their own citizens, because if they can keep the country divided and keep them fighting an invisible enemy in the illusion of a Democrat or a Republican or right wing, left wing, which is all part of the same bird, then it's ultimately the ultimate diversionary tactic when Esau can go in and get his biddings done. So what we're witnessing here in LA right now is a declaration or a deploying of the National Guard and possibly the Marine, depending on how things get out of hand, from the ICE protests, which took place starting Friday of last week. And, they got violent. So therefore, Trump sent the National Guard to LA, which he have an extra 500 reserves on his standby in case things get real. Okay, which this is a direct attack on the tribes, man. And we've been telling you Israelites from Jump Street that they're going to use you to create or enabling you some type of chaos in order to try to fulfill the steps of their New World Order. Okay, which you have Hegelian dialectics, which means pressure from above, pressure from beneath. So I was listening to Elder Apostle Gabar's video. You got a guy by the name of G. Edward Griffin, and he came up, or he broke down what they call the capitalist conspiracy. All right. And the Creature from Jekyll Island, which are all good reads or good podcasts to listen to. But, damn, is he still living? I guess he ain't dead yet. Wow, 93 years old. But G. Edward Griffin, the capitalist conspiracy, right? Capitalist. As we know that the word seaspiracy is a word that's loosely thrown around, okay, which that term was made famous by the CIA during the 1963 John F. Kennedy assassinations, right? And now they demonize it to this this boogeyman thing. Like when you mention conspiracy, then people think you're just a quack, right? But conspiracy just means when two or more people gather together to plot or to engage in nefarious activities as a conspiracy. Okay, con with spiracy, spirit, with the wind, so to speak. But I'm trying to see if they can give us a synopsis on the book. Let's see here. Because everything you see happening around you is basically already pre-planned. They already orchestrated this from when they opened up the borders and they suspended Title 42 and allowed these illegals to come in the country just to be justified on creating civil unrest, to be justified on demonizing them. Now, also, what he mentioned in that documentary or the little clip I played, he mentioned that they were people from different countries like China, Africa, those particular military-age men that nobody seemed to be talking about in these societies, man. And then they have the equivalent to the BLM in the form of a Spanish version of the Black Lives Matter that's coming out there and ensuing in chaos, man, because they're paid agitators. And a lot of the people that's out there protesting can very well be military men disguised as protesters to get the ball rolling. Okay, nothing is out of the scope of possibility with this devil. But when you go into the capitalist conspiracy, it says, cool, mostly the archival footage. This thought-provoking first volume of the Hidden Agenda series relays a little-known history of an elite group of power brokers who wield considerable influence over world affairs. Remember George Soros? In the Black Lives Matter or the BLM, which, there was nothing but a group of Marxists that was behind it. Even though you had 3 lesbian women, 3 Marxists that was the face of it, George Soros financed it. Okay, that's why they call them Soros riots, because there's always a hand in these affairs. But it says, tracking the growth of the world's largest banking dynasty through the eyes of a conspiracy theorist, the program maintains that the true motivation behind their activities is to control the world itself. And that's exactly what we're seeing with these riots, man. It's like killing one bird with 3 stones, so to speak, because not only can they get you tribes out the way, they can bring in martial law, and they can put you on the visa and tracking system, which pretty much Trump then already initiated the process with Stargate and also Palantir, which we may get into that later as well. But anyway, it's pretty much all the information they gave me on it. But there is a video that I did click on, and I didn't finish watching it. But this is the video here. All right, and Apostle Gabar went into this yesterday. See, he says adaptation of a film strip tracing the history of a small group of people who control money systems of the world. It says it shows how this monopoly is protected by governments and how their group's vast wealth is derived from creating money out of nothing. It says we see how this group wields power through government, foundations, education, and mass media, which the media is nothing more but the propaganda machine. It says it has aided so much regimes as Russia and China, not because it is pro-communist, but because a visible enemy and a threat of war have been useful in persuading the masses to embrace the group's ultimate goal, a world government which they expect to control from behind the scenes. It says they are now working to replace the fear of nuclear war with the fear of global pollution as the motivation for the world government. But it is clear that the plan revealed in this documentary presentation continues to unfold. And while people think we just making this shit up, the scriptures actually prove what we're saying. Because the scriptures say, woe to them that seek deep to hide their counsel from the Lord. So all this rioting and all this orchestration of chaos you see is all controlled chaos, man. Until it's not controlled anymore. But this is the book of Psalm 64. And I'm going to start at verses 2. It says, hide me from the secret counsel of the wicked, from the insurrections of the workers of iniquity. All right, now, peep this, right? The secret counsel of the wicked. Let's look this up. Rothschilds, banking dynasty. This is the secret counsel of the wicked here. These wicked, evil, these demons right here. Montgomery Barnes himself. Excellent. Yep, these are the secret counsel of the wicked. These are the one that control all the monopolies. They control the world's corporations. They manipulate wars. They finance both sides, man. They created your Title 4D. They're responsible for illnesses and everything what's wrong in the world today links back to these devils right here. All right, this is the pretty much the secret counsel of the wicked. And you better believe they hate you tribes, man. All right, they hate our people with an affinity because they understand the birthright. Okay, they understand that Esau was the eldest brother of Jacob and that he was supplanted, or really he sold his birthright, and it was really given to us through the spirit. But in their mindset, they're still coming after that birthright today. They're trying to forge it. Since they've lost it, then ultimately they want to take it by force. And this is what we're seeing. So this is why our people are highly attacked and persecuted on levels beyond reasoning, because it all goes back to that birthright, man. But it says, hiding from the secret counsel of the wicked, from the insurrection of the workers of iniquity, who whet their tongue like a sword and bend their bows to shoot their arrows, even bitter words. And that goes in the form of these lies. You know, you got some which is called, what is it called? Critical race theory. Now it's a theory on how the hell they was brutalizing us, and how they stole generational wealth from us. I say it that way. How they defunded the so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. You know, how they've used particular political infrastructures to keep us at the bottom while everybody else prospers over our people. That's part of it. It says that they may shoot in secret at the perfect. Certainly they do shoot at him and fear not. It says they encourage themselves in an evil matter, and a commune of laying snares privately, and they say, who shall see them? So all this shit with the riots over there in California, this is all part of that great plan to start the New World Order, man. All right, because like we mentioned, hey, Esau has but a short time. He doesn't have that much time. So he's moving quick. as I mentioned in the last video, Operation Warp Speed. Hey, the devil is coming down with you having great wrath, man. And they showed it in the Sean Ryan show and the Joe Rogan podcast. And dude even said it. He says the immigration protests is all part of a plan. And hence, let's go to this video real quick. Protests in LA. Peep this.
Efforts to control protests over immigration enforcement are underway in Los Angeles. In fact, the National Guard troops and mounted police fired tear gas at protesters.
And sooner or later, this is going to be in all states, on every street for the most part, especially in your downtown areas.
And these were people gathered outside an ICE detention facility. Now, there are reports of looting and several burning cars, as you just saw on your screen. LAPD declared the protest an unlawful assembly. The department says fireworks and cinder block pieces struck officers, and roughly 300 National Guard members are in the city. That's because President Donald Trump ordered the deployment of 2,000 troops. And this morning, we're learning Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth has more than 500 active duty Marines on standby to intervene. California's governor and LA's mayor opposed the deployment order. They blame the Trump administration for escalating tensions.
And what we're seeing in Los Angeles is chaos that is provoked by the administration.
This idiot right here, you know she's part of it all too. She's just a puppet on a greater scale of things. She's a small puppet at that. All you people getting ready to go down. And this is Esau's. This is how you know Esau is getting ready to lose, man. Because he's getting sloppy. Because if you can't see through this, then you're just blinded. You know? But the time of Jacob's trouble was upon us. This is going to be the normal, them hunting our people in the streets like that. But it says they encourage themselves in an evil matter, and they commune of laying snares privately. They say, who shall see them? But they're being exposed because the scriptures say that how are the hidden things of Esau being searched out? It says they search out iniquities. They accomplish a diligent search. Both the inward thought of every one of them and the heart is deep. Yeah, the mind. So this was all part of, like, I think Apostle Gabar goes into the Communist Manifesto. Also, it's a book that I got by Ralph Emerson called The New World Order. And it goes into how they set up these protests and how they create chaos out of thin air to get the desired outcome. Okay, because like I mentioned, they want to bring about a totalitarian rule, a draconian rule, meaning that whatever they say goes, man. And they want to rule with the iron fist. Okay, they don't want any oppositions, man. Like the slogan of the New World Order is titled No Mercy. So they're getting ready to eliminate 6.5 billion people, man. Because part of the Georgia Guidestones, which was, I think, what it fell maybe in 2020, 2021, in Alberta, Georgia. And once the Guidestones collapsed and once those were brought down, then that shows you right there that they was on the verge of fulfilling that mission. So things are getting ready to intensify. But it says they search out iniquities. They accomplish a diligent search. Both the inward thought of everyone and the heart is deep. But the Most High shall shoot at them with an arrow, and suddenly they shall be wounded. So shall they make their own tongue to fall upon themselves, and all that see them shall flee away. So this is why you have a division among these Edomites, revealing the dark plans of the elites. Okay, because you got some Edomites that just, you know, apparently they're siding with Issachar and Asher and Zeb, you know, the particular tribes that came from Venezuela, you know, to different parts of those Hispanic countries, you know, and sooner than later, they're going to roll on you northern, you southern kingdom Jakes too, because this is just the quiet before the storm. See, when they roll on Jake, that's when the ball really going to get cracking, man. But it says, all the men should fear and should declare the work of Yahweh, for they should wisely consider his doing. So the Lord is moving, man. All right, like we said, 2025 is gearing up to be a crazy year. And hey, we only in the middle. we only halfway through it. Shit, we got another 5.5 months for things to go completely left. So let's watch, like Yahweh Shai commanded. What is it? Matthew 24. It's the book of Matthew 24. And I'm going to start at verses 42. It says, watch therefore, for ye know not what hour your Lord doth come. But know this, that if the good man of the house have known and what watch the thief will come, he would have watched and not would have suffered to have his house to be broken up. Therefore be ye so also ready, for in such as an hour ye think not the Son of Man cometh. So the Lord is going to come when people least expect it. This is what we're commanded to watch. It says here, hold on, I lost my place. Oh, pray, watch. Let me find it, because I think it's in Luke and Mark as well, but the one I'm looking for is actually Mark 13 and 13. It says, take ye heed, watch and pray, for you know not when the time is. So we're commanded to be on our watch, man. All right, not playing games and just being in our own goddamn world like a lot of these other guys are, you know. Here you got prophecy jumping off the pages, and men ain't got nothing else better to do but come and harass us. Like, what kind of stuff is that? You know? But yep, take ye heed and watch and pray, for ye know not when the time is. And I'm going to jump down to verses. Matter of fact, I'm going to just read it all the way through. It says, for the Son of Man, as a man taking a far journey, who left his house and gave authority to his servants, to every man his work, and commanded the porter to watch. And this is a symbolic of us. Okay, Yahweh Shai left us in charge of his ministry until he comes back. Though he's guiding us through the Spirit, he's left us control. He's let us run the business. And it says, watch ye therefore, for ye know not when the master of the house cometh, at evening or at midnight, or even at the cock crowing, or in the morning, lest coming suddenly he find you sleeping. And a lot of you dudes gonna get caught literally sleeping, man. Okay, literally. And what I say unto you, I say unto all, watch. So we have to watch these things. Continue to report on these prophecies, man. All right.
When you raid Home Depot and workplaces, when you tear parents and children apart, and when you run armored caravans through our streets, you cause fear and you cause panic.
Now, at last check, 56 total arrests have been made.
Overnight, police in riot gear facing off with anti-ICE protesters in downtown LA, now declared an unlawful assembly area. Multiple people arrested.
And this is highly illegal what they're doing, you know, because a lot of the people that they're grabbing up actually have citizenship here. And like that demon said, Tom Homan, he said, we don't care if they got citizenship or not. We'll lock them up right along with their kids. And Esau is known for separating families, man. You know, he'll separate the children and the husbands from the wives. And, you know, before you know it, your child is in Alaska, you in Florida, your wife is all the way in California. And he does that because he gets a kick out of it, man. Okay, because he's the devil. So deploying the troops on the citizenship of America and the people that reside here, all because they're protesting your illegal ICE raids. This is a highly illegal ordeal, and according to the Constitution, the citizens can rise up against this, man, and we're gonna see that eventually when shit starts to hit the fan. But right now, you know, we're still in the beginning stages. You know, things have to continue to manifest and take a turn, but overall, man, shit is getting ready to get hectic out here, man, to the point this can very well come to a city near you. Like Trump said, he said, look, we're gonna have the troops all around, because ultimately he wants to bring in order through chaos, through military intervention. He said it. He said, we're going to restore order, and he's going to use the military to do so, which proves that this guy's Nero, man. Okay, because that's not off the table with Trump. Going to war with his own citizens. Hey, Trump 2.0 is way different from Trump 1.0. Okay, he was talking all that big talk about getting prices down and, you know, we're going to do this for the American people and bring jobs back, and what happened? He failed on every promise he delivered thus far. So that should tell you people.
As tensions flared, the clashes escalating over the weekend after first erupting Friday following workplace raids by federal agents at multiple locations across LA. On Saturday, President Trump invoking a rarely used law to call up the National Guard, defying California's governor, who argued he would only inflame protesters who took over a major interstate Sunday, bringing traffic to a standstill.
We're here on 101 right now. Protesters have shut down the freeway. You can see flashlights have been going off. Police are closing in. Protesters are running southbound. Let's go.
Police dispersing the crowd with tear gas and rubber bullets. Police cars set on fire, and the LAPD chief saying officers were targeted overnight.
Tonight we had individuals.
And these things are going to turn deadly, man, okay? Because what we're witnessing is what they call the theater of war. Okay, theatrics, it's the theater of war, man. You know, and their propaganda machine, which is the news, and, you know, because America is nothing but propaganda any damn way. But it's all propaganda, man, outside of what's really taking place. Yeah, sure, these things are happening, people are getting hurt, but it's all orchestrated chaos, man. But it's going to come a time that these things are going to blow out of proportion, and there's nothing nobody's going to do to stop it, because Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai is he's going to directly intervene in these affairs, and he's going to put the fire to these people, man, and something big is going to happen. To the point there will be bloodshed. So this ain't shit compared to what's getting ready to transpire. But anyway, this is the book of Job 15, and I'm going to start at verses 31. It says, "Let him not that is deceived trust in vanity, for his vanity should be his recompense." Yeah, and this is nothing but deceitfulness, man. It's lies. It says it should be accomplished before his time, and his branch should not be green. And he should shake off his unripe grape as the vine, and should cast off the flower of the olive. And the congregation of the hypocrites should be desolate, and fire should consume the tabernacles of the bribery. They conceive mischief, they bring forth vanity, and they belly prepare deceit. Yeah, because like I mentioned, it's all a theater of war, okay, to get certain outcomes in order to push their new world order and get the undesirables out. It's working against them, okay? But nonetheless, they're going to push forth to it because, you know, that's the scriptures. You see? Let's go here. Second Esdras 15. Because Second Esdras is jumping off the page right now, man. Second Esdras 15 and 14, it says, "Woe to the world and them that dwell therein." It says, "For the sword and their destruction draweth nigh, and one people should stand up to fight against another, and swords in their hand." And we're seeing that. Okay, we're seeing the protesters gather together and set police cruisers on fire. And like I said, the military, the National Guard being deployed, and also the Marines. And then I saw a clip that they actually had fucking rifles on their chest, man. So they're already expecting these things to turn violent. And when the elites get the go-ahead to open up on you people, that's exactly what they're going to do. They're going to put you down, you know, because they don't have no loyalty to the Constitution or whatever the hell you want to call it. They don't. This is a nation divided, like Yahweh Shai say. It said, a nation divided by a civil war, how can it stand? And we're seeing the start of a civil war. And it says, "For there should be sedition among men, and invading one another, and they should not regard their kings nor princes, and the course of their actions shall stand in their power." People are going to take shit into their own account. Okay, they're not going to give a damn about putting no cop down, because Trump said, he said, there's a death penalty if you murder a cop, but that's just going to provoke people to go after them even more. Because the fact that you give cops immunity and you give them jurisdiction to do what the hell they want to do with people, people ain't going to sit back and just allow that to be the case. Okay, like you give another person a right to unalive you for dumb shit, but yet you can't retaliate. Nah, bro, that's going to cause another shitstorm. And it says in that men should desire to go into the city and should not be able, for because of their pride, the city should be troubled, and the houses should be destroyed, and men should be afraid. So that's where it's boiling down to. All right, but anyway, I'm going to end it. Giving all praises and glory and honor as due to Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai. It was a word you were edified. To the next lesson. Shalom.
Individuals out there shooting commercial-grade fireworks at our officers, that can kill you.
Protesters setting multiple Waymo self-driving cars on fire. The company pausing operations in downtown LA. Demonstrators voicing their anger over ICE's presence in the city.
We're not the problem. You know, immigrants aren't the problem. We're the solution.
What do you think about the National Guard being brought in?
I think that it's ridiculous, because where was the National Guard on January 6th?
On Truth Social, the president calling the protesters troublemakers and insurrectionists.
We're going to have troops everywhere.
And adding overnight, bring in the troops. The LAPD chief asked about the National Guard, saying he would have thought local authorities could handle it, but
Looking at the violence tonight, I think we got to make a reassessment.
Border Czar Tom Homan telling our Jacob Sobroff the raids will continue in the coming days and that officials who stand in the way of law enforcement operations could be arrested.
Are you saying that about Mayor Bass and Governor Newsom? Are they at risk of being arrested?
I'll say it about anybody. You cross that line.
Governor Newsom firing back.
Come after me, arrest me. Let's just get it over with. Tough guy. They're trying to incite violence. They're trying to impose the kind of rhetoric that only makes the conditions worse, that quite literally put people's lives at risk.
As violent unrest in downtown Los Angeles spills into a fourth day, President Trump is defending his decision to deploy National Guard troops there against the wishes of California's governor.
We're going to have troops everywhere. We're not going to let this happen to our country. We're not going to let our country be torn apart.
The protests began in response to ongoing immigration raids. Federal agents arresting about 150 migrants around L.A.
Military violence.
Protests, which started peacefully, turned violent, with demonstrators burning cars and throwing bottles and chunks of concrete at police.
These kids on the car, the folks that are taking advantage of this, these aren't peaceful protesters, a lot of these folks.
California's Democratic Governor Gavin Newsom blaming President Trump for inflaming a tense situation. It's the first time a president has activated a state's National Guard force without a request from the state's governor since the civil rights era.
Donald Trump has created the conditions you see on your TV tonight. He's exacerbated the conditions.
In D.C., lawmakers divided.
My concern, of course, is that this inflames the situation and that he is hell-bent on inflaming the situations.
One of our core principles is maintaining peace through strength. We do that on foreign affairs and domestic affairs as well. I don't think that's heavy-handed.
Meanwhile, the administration is threatening to arrest any state and local officials who interfere with immigration enforcement.
Stand in the way of law and order, they will face charges.
A political standoff still simmering as the situation on the ground boils over. The president activated a total of 2,000 National Guard troops in California. About 300 are on the streets of Los Angeles right now. And Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth said active duty Marines are ready to deploy to California if the White House deems it necessary. In Washington, Chris Pallone, NBC News.